What's going on, everyone? My name is Twig, and today we are reviewing The Devil Within Satgat, a fairly new Metroidvania Souls-like platformer released less than a month ago on Steam in Early Access. Before we get into the review, I do want to get my intro stuff out of the way. I 100% games on Steam to add to my profile, and while I focus primarily on achievements, usually obtaining all of them takes me through most, if not all, that a game has to offer. My goal is to hit 700 perfect games by the end of the year, so if you want to follow along on the journey, feel free to subscribe or add me on Steam. I created a curator group to focus on discussing games as well. I really enjoyed my time with The Devil Within, and I did have a few topic points I wanted to discuss in this video review versus in my written review on Steam. So let's dive right in. I want to try to keep this review as spoiler free as possible, so I'll just talk about the base story setting for the game and not the story as a whole. The premise I found to be pretty interesting. You learn of the Ebon Sting, which is a black tower of unknown origin, has mysteriously arrived and altered the world. Demonic entities appeared and started to corrupt the population, and that's when General Hong Sang and Royal Guard Kim Rip decided to embark on a mission to eliminate the source of evil at the Ebon Sting's tower core. You take the role of Kim Rip and pursue his quest to rid the world of demonic corruption. The fate rests on your shoulders to defeat the devils, but in order to do so, you must embrace the darkness within yourself. The story really captivated me as you learn about the secrets of Kim Rip's past. Going into this one, I honestly didn't know what to expect in terms of how hard the game is, but based on a few discussion threads on Steam, people seem to be struggling the most with bosses. I've played quite a few games like this, so the difficulty for me is probably quite different for those who are new to this genre of games. I don't want to compare this title to others because it isn't finished yet, and there could be some pretty hard bosses or areas added in the future, but it does currently seem like an easier title to get into. There is a difficulty section in the gameplay tab of the menu, but it is grayed out with the devs saying that this will be accessible in the future updates. It is worth to note as well that you can customize things like displaying enemy HP, enemy damage, that sort of common stuff. Overall, though, the platforming had a pretty big learning curve for me personally, but after I figured it out, I felt pretty unstoppable. The areas didn't feel cluttered with enemies, and the bosses, while appearing to throw a lot at you at first, were easily learnable in my opinion. You can keep the same strategy for a lot of the bosses in the game. The number of total bosses in this version of the game is kind of skewed because you face the same boss more than just a couple times, but each one has a little bit of variety. But if you're good with parrying and using your abilities, you can demolish the boss's health bar pretty easily. There are those enemies that are just annoying to deal with that aren't necessarily hard to kill. The name of the game is to progress through the map, creating shortcuts and finding artifact items to help you get further to the boss of the area. Currently, there are 3 different map areas for you to battle through, and a central hub area that you come back to in between the completion of each map. As of right now, there is no fast travel option or any traversal option to get to a previous area that you finished. In a lot of Souls-like Metroidvania style games, it is one huge map that you're traversing and creating shortcuts through. In The Devil Within, it is currently 3 different maps that disappear with story progression, which I didn't necessarily like at first because I wasn't aware of it, and I left the area without collecting a few things, which in turn caused me to have to do another playthrough. But I'll talk more about that in a minute. The gameplay is pretty standard, with your souls being called Ingram in this game. You're rewarded with those with every kill or with popping the Ingram crystals that you pick up. In turn, you spend those to level up your character. Purity pellets are like your Estus flasks. They refill at bonfires and give you chunks of health back when consumed. There is a blacksmith at the hub that you can access between areas, along with a vendor you can sell items to. Currently, there is only one other outfit that you can buy for your samurai, 3 guns, and 5 different swords that I found, with the Excalibur one being kind of a meme, but it's actually really good. Traits in combat are where this game really shines in my opinion. As you level up using Ingram, you are given these factor orbs that you can invest into different trait techniques of your character. I'm super stoked to see how this progresses in future updates towards the full release of the game. So far, the different techniques are Special Skill, Devil's Armor, which we can unlock as far as I can see, Acrobatics, Agility, Swordsmanship, Physical Ability, and Toughness. Each branch specializes in their own way of combat. For instance, your physical ability manages pretty much just your amount of health and attack power, while swordsmanship deals with a whole bunch of different moves to mix up your combat through light attacks and heavy attacks, and how to deal more and more combo damage. Special skill focuses on concentrated counterattacks. Acrobatics deals with traversal combat and your special artifacts. Agility focuses on doing damage through dodge attacks, and toughness deals with parrying attacks and bonuses. Devil's Armor is super interesting because at the end of the early access portion of the game is when you are finally able to see yourself getting the Devil's Armor powers unlocked, but with what we are able to unlock now, you are definitely able to see your character getting stronger and doing cooler attacks that make the combat more fun and responsive. The achievements weren't bad at all to unlock, with there being 27 in total. I think only 3 were missable. All of them you get naturally by progressing through the game, beating bosses, getting new areas unlocked, leveling a sword, and finding all the Haite, which are like basically map fragments. You have to find 5 of them in each of the 3 areas of the game to unlock the associated achievement for each area of the game. The only negative, which isn't really a negative if I would have known beforehand, is the fact that you are not able to fast travel or go backwards to previous areas. The story always guides you forward, and I couldn't find a way to go back to other maps or even to the hub to level my weapon or sell stuff. So I suggest creating save slots for each area before you leave, or use my Steam guide to find all the Haite as you go along. I'll be sure and link it down below. I finished my first playthrough with around 5.5 hours of gameplay when I realized I was going to have to do another playthrough to get all the Haite again for the last achievements that I missed. It honestly turned out not to be that bad, as my second playthrough that I did mostly on my Steam Deck, laying in bed, only took around 2.5 hours. Everything ran pretty well without messing with any of the settings, and it was a really good game to play on the Steam Deck. I find that I really enjoy Metroidvania style games on there, especially if I'm doing a cleanup playthrough. The price for The Devil Within is currently $19.99, not on sale, and only you can decide for yourself if that is too much or if it's just right for the game as it stands. The amount of time to complete will vary depending on how long it takes you to beat the bosses and everything, but I had a really good time playing through the game and obtaining all achievements for this one. The title shows a lot of promise, and I'm looking forward to picking it up again when more stuff is added. The story is cool, combat feels good, and I love the trait system. Being verified on the Steam Deck is a huge plus, and personally, I just enjoy these types of games. My Steam profile is linked down below. I really appreciate all the ads that I've been getting on there, and all of the positive messages and comments that have came my way. If you stayed around for this long in the video, I really appreciate it, and be sure to look forward to more reviews. I'm planning to post my Steam review up for this game as soon as this video goes live, so with all that, I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.